The Chamber came from an organisation called the IAAQ, which is the Indigenous Advancement Association of Queensland. We were pretty active as a group and very positive, I suppose, and we decided at one stage to bring together a group of LAPECs, we call them, Local Aboriginal Employment Promotions Committees, to Brisbane to hold a forum to open up the discussion with other LAPECs. There were about 5 at that time throughout Queensland. So we just started discussing how we can work a bit more effectively with the funds, the limited funds that we got from the government. Unfortunately, at that time, they were looking at other avenues. The government on the day was not the government that actually implemented or initiated this particular local Aboriginal Employment Promotions Committee initiative. So they weren't the people that instigated that. It was the new government that was in. They decided in their wisdom to provide the funding, redirect the funding that we got to other avenues to do what we were doing. So in effect, we fell over, and I suppose we're a victim of our own demise. Really, it was really something that we instigated and led to, I suppose, the disbandment of the local Aboriginal Employment Promotion Committee in Brisbane and throughout the state. But what came out of that, I suppose, is that group kept meeting. Our Brisbane group kept meeting, and on a monthly basis, even though we had no charter, even though we had no funding to support what we were doing, we kept meeting on a regular basis, and we continued to talk about Aboriginal employment. In fact, we started talking about a lot of other things. We started talking about the arts and our culture. We started to talking about economic development, and through all those types of discussions, then when we said, well, why don't we do something about it? Why don't we become something to be able to work more, I suppose, affirmative, I guess, in terms of where we're heading? Because you can sit around a table all day and talk and walk away and say, well, what was that all about? Or you can sit around a table, make some decisions and do something about it. Let's become something, let's form an organisation. Hence, this is where the Indigenous Advancement Association came from. It was an organisation we put together to do a number of things. One was employment, one was, of course, economic development, one was to develop lasting relationships with the general community, all those things, fostering goodwill, that sort of stuff. And our objectives were pretty broad, but throughout that we could see that economic development was key to what we were doing. You can look up in the directory in the Yellow Pages, you can find Aboriginal community organisations, but you won't find an Aboriginal business in there as such. You won't know who was Aboriginal, you don't know who you're talking to half the time. In fact, when we started talking to some of those businesses, they'd say, well, where are the Aboriginal businesses? We didn't know who was in business at all.
The name of our business here today is Elements. We're a fashion label, ladies fashion label. Now we've got shops located at Rockhampton, Toowoomba and 2 here in Brisbane. Been doing it 4.5 years now. Before that I was working with as a diesel mechanic for Queensland Rail. So I've come from a trades background, 20 odd years in the trade area. I took the risk, but personally I've always had a vision of being in business, even though I was a trades for so long. Always knew that there was more that I could do. There was a change in my career path. I always had a business inclination to give it a go, just to show that Murrays can get out there and make a difference. Opportunities that's beyond belief for myself, for other Indigenous people. And there is a big niche because it is our identity and it's up to us to sell it. So to get out there and merchandise whatever you're doing, dancing, singing, your sports, the whole box and dice of what goes on in our society, is we need to go out there and sell ourselves.
I did a hairdressing apprenticeship a little while ago, and then I quit that and tried to do something else with pharmacy, and then a friend offered me to get back into hairdressing again, so I got back into it about 4 years ago. The opportunity came when my boss wanted to sell it, and she asked if I wanted to buy it, and I thought, yeah, why not? You know, I know the clientele, I know how it works, so it'd be a lot easier than re-establishing a new one. It's going really well, yeah, going really well. Lots of challenges, but it's fun, it's good. I plan on opening a few more, between about 8 and 10 in about 15 years. Hairdressing is a bit of chamber of commerce because we get to meet a variety of different people. Some of them have problems, some of them tell us their problems, you know, so they come in here, we make them feel better, cheer them up, and they walk out feeling and looking good.
I was involved in rugby league and coaching and all that, and I was actually coaching overseas, and had another year to run on my contract and fell foul of a chief executive who didn't really want me there, and I didn't see eye to eye to him. So the company paid me out of my contract from Great Britain, and I landed in Australia, and I said to myself, no one's ever going to do that to me, I'll be the boss. And subsequently I went and bought a business and I'm the boss. And people say to me, like, I'm pretty successful here. It's a really good little tyre store, a mechanical store. And everyone comes in and says, geez, you're always busy, Tony. Luckily, I'm a motor mechanic by trade as well. So I'd also had a trade in motor mechanics, and I think that we should have a little bit better networking system set up in Brisbane so that we can really work with each other. Because I think, when you put them all together, all those businesses, it's a fairly big economic value, dollar value there, and we can absolutely interconnect and share ideas and business as well.
Well, I've been in the business for 25 years operating machinery, and also do concreting on the side, landscaping and rock walls. At first I started off as offside and pipe layer, and I thought there's got to be a better way to earn a quid than stuck down a trench. And when I told them that I was buying my own gear, they said, just give us a card and we'll hire you straight away. And it's just taken off from there.
It's a unique place, Strait, so close to a capital city with an international airport, for instance. This building here is an old research building that they bought from off the coast of the island. And the course we're doing here is a Certificate 3 course in SEQICC Cultural Arts, and create a lot of opportunities for artists to learn more as they go and develop their work and making some sales. The shop itself has developed some employment opportunities. We're still trying to achieve a little bit of assistance with that, but that's coming. All sorts of projects that anything we can come up with that will assist the community and help the community. Yeah, so it's a significant time in the process over 3.5 years.
Evan Mullaney was doing some work with another organisation and came to one of our meetings one day. He spoke about his project and then also mentioned that he was the chair of a local chamber here in the north side of Brisbane. Evan, from that, I guess the discussion started to evolve around what we've been talking about for some time, and Evan Mullaney said, well, why don't we do something about it? What we decided to do was put a project together, a proposed project that was focused on identifying Aboriginal business, getting to understand what their businesses were all about, but also to get an idea of what their concerns and what they needed as far as Aboriginal business in our community here in Brisbane. It really was a very groundbreaking stuff that we're doing, because I just feel that and it was exciting stuff, because here we have all these people working in isolation, not knowing who they were and what they were doing, but all yearning to find out where other Aboriginal businesses were, so they can start to, if not on a social level, catch up, say hello, but on a more business level, start to do business with each other. So it was really good that we focused the consultant focused his efforts towards who we know already, and then started to build on their networks. And we were led from pillar to post and identified 120 businesses, 120 businesses in Brisbane, unbelievable. You know, that includes the not-for-profit organisations, but the remainder of them were Aboriginal business. Some Aboriginal businesses were about for about 10 years. They've been operating for years, yet we didn't know who they are.
Well, I was actually in business maybe before 8 to 10 years. I've had another business that was in the fruit and vegetable industry. I used to have sell fruit and vegetables around Toowoomba. It's been a process of building up, but it's a very nervous sort of a thing. But if you don't step out there, well, you don't get anything done. But if you've got all the assistance, then it certainly makes it easier for you, yeah.
Oh, it's absolutely important in terms of providing a platform for Indigenous businesses and looking at how we can move ahead and also work in partnership with mainstream organisations and giving them exposure of professional business people that are out there.
When you come into business, especially as a young person, you need to have a lot of support. You need to have a lot of people behind you to be the backbone so you can succeed and push yourself forward, to push your company or companies forward. So having so many people as the Chamber would have would be a great asset to any company, especially if it's a young person.
But you need a base to pull all those successes together and highlight them through the appropriate channels.
I think this is the establishment of a chamber gives the Aboriginal people a representative that they can go to. It can also give Aboriginal people a voice within the business community. I suppose, we as Indigenous people, we're always operating businesses in isolation. So I think it's a good opportunity where people, Indigenous people, whether Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander people that are in business, can come together and be showcased, but also just come together for networking and also for professional development, and professional self-esteem to keep going, because it's a harder world out there when you're in business, and especially when you operate in isolation. And sometimes you can be culturally isolated and even professionally isolated.
We went out to Ipswich, we went out to Caboolture, we went out down to the Gold Coast, we went here in Brisbane, we went up to Toowoomba, and yet they didn't know each other. They're sitting around in a room, we're talking about this chamber and the concept about getting people together, and here they were coming together already and starting to meet each other. It was just, you could almost hear the business cards flickering across tables and, the discussion happening about what they do, who they are. We really need to thank the area consultative committees in South East Queensland. They were a great help in terms of the local expertise and knowledge of local business venues. Their support and sponsorship was greatly needed. Without that support by the area consultative committees and also Commerce Queensland and the Department of State Development and Innovation, those breakfasts wouldn't have happened. We wouldn't have got the message out to people about what we are and what we're trying to do. I think the breakfasts are a great vehicle in terms of encouraging some support and interest about what we're doing.
Commerce Queensland, I'm here representing Commerce Queensland, and we totally embrace and support what's been created here. We believe that the Indigenous Chamber of Commerce will act as a beacon to all people, that the Indigenous people are out there making it in their own quiet way, but with the name Chamber of Commerce, which is highly recognised, people will know what it stands for, and I think a lot of them will be very pleasantly surprised, and I think most people, the vast majority of people, will be saying all the strength in the world to them.
It's an ideal vehicle, I suppose, to profile the businesses that join, showcase them, and there are some very competent Indigenous businesses out there and have been running for many years. So it's I suppose, shows not only to the various, there are other businesses that may want to engage us, it also shows to the community that there are people out there doing it.
I just think what Charlie's doing is a wonderful idea, and with the state development and the ACC, and I'm really looking forward to being a member and being a part of it.
And to have Aboriginal businesses recognised and active within the business community, I think is a very good step forward.
The plan is, how do we make that South East Queensland? How do business in Toowoomba start doing business with businesses in Caboolture or the Sunshine Coast or the Gold Coast? How do we start to get an understanding of who we are, what we're doing, and then what is the potential of that? These are all unknown factors, mind you, but it's quite exciting to think that it can only be positive outcomes. You know, it can only be positive outcomes in terms of what we're doing. We don't know where this might lead us in terms of just business to business, Aboriginal business to business, but also Aboriginal business to general business community, to the big players in town. You know, I'm sure they'd like to know who we are, what we're doing, and how that can actually add value to what they're doing.
I've known Charlie for some time, especially for his work in dealing with Indigenous employment. He came to us in 2006 about a concept about creating an Indigenous Chamber of Commerce for South East Queensland. Our work is mainly around assisting people into employment, but Charlie's project was about really trying to create Indigenous enterprises and encourage them to grow. And by doing so, that would be encouraging employment. So we saw some key common objectives between his project and our project. We think this is the first project of its kind in this country. It's a great way to get Indigenous small businesses together, getting them to encourage one another and to learn and develop and encourage those businesses to grow.
All small business, all business has its hard times, but all business also, you know, experiences a level of success. So let's talk about that. Let's share that information. Let's work out ways of doing business better, and also let's look at how we can expand our markets by doing this. I know that I said that in Toowoomba we got people getting to know each other for the first time. You know, in all those regions, getting to know, they're already that's building their business. You know, and it's like I said, it's not. We don't know what the potential is going to be. We know that it's a fantastic thing. We know that it's interactive, and we know that it's bringing our business together to talk about business.
From my own perspective, everything about this venture encourages me. The contribution it will make to building a diverse entrepreneurial and business environment in Australia, the opportunities it will present to strengthen Indigenous commercial enterprises, the affirmation it will offer to the importance of Indigenous culture and values in the workplace, and the wider message it will send to the Australian community that Indigenous Australians have strong business and financial skills and that they can make a strong commitment to the development of commerce in the country. In concluding, may I thank you for giving me the opportunity to participate in today's launch. It's very exciting to be here. Mr Andrews and I both offer the South East Queensland Indigenous Chamber of Commerce our strongest support and wish it every success in its endeavours well into the future. Thank you very much.
This is our country where we want to take people forward in the business area, take them forward to make sure that we're just as good as anybody else. And we can use our colour to that advantage by, you know, looking at things out there in the wider perspective.
You're all special guests today because this is one of the most exciting days in the history, not just of Queensland, but of Australia.
I was just sitting over there before and I was having a bit of a moment. You know, when you experience something that somehow you feel happened before, you know, you think of, oh, this has happened before, somehow I've seen this, but you don't know where and you don't know when it happened. Then you realise what it was and what it might be. Was it a dream or was it a premonition maybe? I'm sure that a lot of you have experienced this type of feeling, and it happens to me a lot. So today is a dream, and that I shared with my colleagues some 6 years ago. You know, maybe the secret to getting to this particular point, to be able to launch the South East Queensland Indigenous Chamber of Commerce, is because we all shared the same dream 6 years ago.
The energy in the room was fantastic. It was great to be a part of the celebration and celebrating business, blackfellow in business. You know, the Indigenous Chamber of Commerce is absolutely necessary. It's not just important, it's necessary. It's an opportunity to network, give each other support, have a voice, look at strategies and issues within the business industry, within the business community. And it's Murray's, you know, this one's the Southeast, Murray's and Torres Strait Island people there to help one another and to progress, to push forward and to, you know, withhold, upstand our businesses in the community and the community on a whole, you know, not just within the Indigenous community, but non-Indigenous community, not only just locally, but nationally and internationally. This is amazing. It's great to be a part of it.
We were very encouraged for a number of reasons. The first one, by the sheer number of people who had come to the launch. It had great acceptance and a great lot of encouragement for people who were wanting it to succeed. Second thing was the evidence of the large number of Indigenous enterprises who were actually participating in the Chamber, and was going to be going from strength to strength. Yes, we hope that in the future a lot of the other enterprises we fund become self-sustainable and eventually they'll become members of the Chamber of Commerce.
I'm stimulated by what I've borne witness to today, and it's an encouragement to myself to go out and be an advisor to all community people who have an interest in developing business to do so. There are structures there that will assist them to make their mark and contribute not only to Indigenous society but to society in general, to maintain and progress the wealth of this state of Queensland and to be able to share in that wealth that's created.
And I think what this Indigenous Chamber of Commerce has to offer is just amazing. The networking, the mentoring, the experience that people have, and that collective positive energy, the economic development, and all that sort of stuff. The reflection back in the mainstream community, in our own community, the positive reflections, that can only encourage more people to get involved, that can put a smile on a lot of people's faces. The self-esteem, the self-confidence, the pride that there's black businesses. That is just fantastic.
Funny, the Wanna Be a member said we want to be the best chamber in Australia. That's what we want to be, and I guess that's. And I know that there are other parts of the country looking at us and saying, well, what are they doing? How are they doing it? And I'm sure that that time will come. When they're ready, they'll be able to get going if they think what we're doing is a positive thing and will benefit their own community. But I know that for us in South East Queensland here, our communities, our people in South East Queensland, it's exciting times, and I'm sure that we can go forward with it. I've had a lot of great success in terms of what I've been doing, but this is one of the best things that's ever happened as far as, besides getting married of course, but it's one of the best things that's ever happened in terms of my professional life, yeah. I'm an Aboriginal business person, you know, I'm no different from anyone else in the community, that are in our business community. I want to meet Aboriginal businesses too. So look, I think that what needs to happen now is we're continually growing as far as our membership, but if you're an Aboriginal business out there, come and join us, you know, come and join us, come get some exposure to other Aboriginal businesses. We can only be successful if we continue to grow, and we'd love to, you know, have as many Aboriginal business people on board. I know that our corporate sector, not Indigenous sector, but also the corporate sector are wanting to support us as well. Any organisation, any business that joins our chamber, the main reason behind doing such a thing is to see Aboriginal business grow. We need to get our Aboriginal businesses together, start to integrate, start to mix with other businesses, non-Indigenous businesses, to see what future we've got, to see what business we can do to each other. I think that's the only way that our businesses will grow. We can continue to, if you like, operate in isolation, or we can come together, be more recognisable. We can help you profile your business. We can market your business if you like. We can link your business to other businesses that have a similar interest. So it's all about building business. As I said, anyone that joins this chamber has to have Aboriginal business in mind, has to have that as a priority to help Aboriginal business build. Look, if our business is built for our community, in our community, that means there's more jobs for our people. That means there's more of a future, there's more options, there's more opportunities for our future. A lot of hope in the future. It provides us with a great deal of hope, and I think that that can only be continued with support of Aboriginal business. As I mentioned, we want to be the best chamber in Australia, and we can't do that without Aboriginal business.
We are destined to soar.